What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today I'm here to bring all of you my first Tokyo Ghoul chapter review of 2016. I missed it. I missed this so much. I've had some withdrawals all week because of the lack of TG. Now, many of you are probably already wondering, why do I have the headset on since this is not titled a live reaction? Well, the reason for that is because, well, I wanted to listen to some Tokyo Ghoul music while I talk about the chapter, do a review, talk about the panels and stuff like that, just to set the mood up. Now, of course, you won't be able to hear the music because of, copyright reasons with YouTube, but you get the point. Main thing is this chapter was glorious. A very glorious chapter of TG. The conclusion, to some of the reveals, to the new members, to what Urie is up to the final part of this chapter. It's some really, really great stuff going on. And, like always, Ishida starts off 2016 with a bang. I mean, he starts off all his chapters with a bang, or ends them with a bang, and that's kind of how the year starts off, because of that final page. But I'll save that for later when I dive in further into the review. The main thing is, if you're new to my Tokyo Ghoul reviews, or if you see my previous ones, I think majority of you now know how this works. I want to go panel by panel, diving into what each individual panel probably means, what's going on with the story, the characters, and do some theory crafting on the side. Now, I have a couple of things I do need to discuss when it comes to theories and stuff, but I'll save it to when I get to that part. So let's start off. So, the chapter starts off, chapter 59 to be exact, starts off with Urie painting. And this right here stands out so much to me when it comes to this chapter, because for one, I don't think we've ever seen Urie paint or anything like that. It's very bizarre, but also, I know some people paint or draw because it's a coping mechanism. I know there's people out there that use drawing or painting to be able to kind of move on, or try to let go, or something to where they don't feel like they're in pain anymore. Like, it's kind of like, it's not the best comparison, but, go with me here. Some people drink alcohol because they just don't want to feel any pain anymore. And that's kind of what I feel like this might also be slightly. Maybe Urie has been painting a little bit more to be able to have a coping mechanism to get these emotions out of him. Because painters paint things to get emotions out. And I feel like that might be what Urie is doing here. But I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong. But that's just my thought process in this. Because it's very bizarre seeing the way his character starts off in this chapter just painting. All by himself, alone in a room, just painting. And we don't really get to see what the image is about. All we see is, looks like black coloring. Well, the manga is black and white, so we don't really know exactly what color he's painting with. But still, whatever he's painting, I feel like it's going to have some major role in the future. Maybe not this arc, maybe this is Ishida-sensei. This possibly could pop up maybe 100 chapters from now, if Tokyo Ghoul is still running. So, the point is, I feel like this painting is going to be very symbolic and meaningful later on down the road. Just we've yet to really figure it out. But, besides that, let's move on. The next page we have here going on, so I guess the 5th page, if you're counting all those color pages that were in between, we get introduced to our new cast of characters that are going to be a part of the QS squad. And a wide variety of characters. I'm really liking the designs of the characters. They're pretty cool stuff, but let's look at exactly on the right side first. We found out that a half year has passed, so 6 months have passed since the events of the Rose Walled operation. What happened to Tsukiyama trying to exterminate him. And I think we all guessed by now there was going to be a kind of big time skip, and so we have this 6-month gap between whatever happened at the events of the last arc, or last chapter, towards this chapter, and many things could have happened. There's probably many things that we don't know about that probably happened. That's fucking crazy, because, the ending conclusion of the chapter leaves off with, that one scene, which I'll get into, but probably some crazy shit has went down in these past 6 months, and with the half of year passing, CCG has focused all their efforts on exterminating Oguri Tree, trying to go after them, hunt down, these different rabbit holes and crushing them and closing them off. And that's kind of what the main operation is going on right now. That's like the main core focus so far from what we can see from this arc, trying to exterminate all they can of Oguri Tree and hunting every individual base down. And they almost already pushed them out of this ward. That's just how many they have killed. So, now they got that out of the way, let's look at these characters. Okay, so the first character on the right here, right above Psycho, his name is Aura. And instantly, as soon as I saw this name, I'm like, okay, so I want to look up this name just to make sure. I'm going to look up this name because when it comes to Tokyo Ghoul, I want to look up names when they first get introduced because let's be honest here, when a character is introduced, sometimes they might have been in the series beforehand and they might be linked to another character that we're unaware of. And so I decided to type in Aura's name. I typed in Tokyo Ghoul Aura, and as soon as I typed it in, it brought up a Wiki page that says Kyoko Aura. Now, I'll probably have the link in the description. You could all check it out for yourself. But in the description, Kyoko Aura, she is actually a special class investigator. I'm reading the wiki right now. And noteworthy for being the first woman to achieve that rank. She is assigned to the first ward as a Division 1 commander. She was a classmate of Kasuka Mado, and is greatly admired by the female employees of CCG for her many achievements. With this, it makes you wonder if that's what this is trying to imply. For instance, maybe that this person is related to Kyoko Aura. And if so, if Aura that joined the QS squad is related, why did he, so forth, so on, join the QS squad instead of trying to become a regular investigator? What really happened there? I'm very curious about that, but I just wanted to point out the connection between these two characters. There's definitely a link between these two said characters, and I wonder how that's going to play later on down the series, because there's not really much known about this character, Kyoko Aura. There's not much at all. Like, she's the first special class investigator that was a woman. Like, she's the first woman to be a special class investigator, and she is the leader of Division 1 commander. So, yeah, well, we really don't know much at all. She hasn't really showed any combat at all, so there's not really much more I could talk about that, but I just wanted to point out that connection. Now, the next character moving on to the left that was introduced in this chapter was Xiao. Now, not much is really known about this character at all. I typed in the name as well on, Google to see if this name popped up at all connected to any characters, and clearly it was not. So, this name, Xiao, completely new character, and I wonder what type of role Xiao is going to have in the future of the QS squad, and I wonder if we're going to be able to grow connected with Xiao as we journey through the series. Because, I mean, Ishida, surprisingly enough, when we first got introduced to the QS squad, I remember many saying they did not give a shit about any of the QS. I remember many were saying they don't care about Psycho, they don't care about Shirazu, they don't care about Mutsuki, they don't care about Urie, they don't even care for Sasuke. I remember seeing many comments actually saying that they don't really care at all about these said characters that were introduced at the beginning of Tokyo Ghoul Re. And I'm willing to bet with these new introductions of these characters, for instance, we have Aura, we have, Xiao, and then now this other character on the side, we have his name as, I think, Higemaru, I think that's what his name is, but with these new characters introduced, I feel like I'm going to probably see some comments down below this video that's probably going to say, I don't really care about them. I really don't. I just want my boy Kaneki back. I want to see more Kaneki screen time, and I don't really care about these new cast of characters. But here's the thing. What really makes Tokyo Ghoul such a good series is the character interactions and seeing how these characters grow. And also, with these new characters introduced, it actually allows us to see the growth Urie has undergone in these past 6 months. Because we know Urie has had a lot of time to think about the events that's happened after Shirazu's death. And it makes you wonder what has really changed. Overall, what has changed in Urie? Like, how much has he matured? And that is probably what many are going to be looking at when it comes to this chapter, if you're not really focusing on, not caring about these characters. But, moving on, the Xiao, we don't know much about Xiao, and then Higemaru, we don't really know much about him as well, so just, yeah, well, we need to see more information about these characters. Next, moving on, it seems like Urie is taking up the position as a really good, strong leader. I mean, he's straight up, he's using his nose, he's like, Aura, I smell something coming from behind you. He's being able to lead the charge, lead his men, and be able to kind of take that leadership role with confidence. I'm really liking the way Urie is doing this. Like, he's really caring for his team, but he's giving out these good orders to be able to protect them. It really shows in the way his demeanor was displayed in these first couple of pages of the chapter. Now, moving on next page, page number 6, you see Oguri Tree attacking, fodder class Oguri Tree just coming to attack, the QS squad. And as Aura turns around to fight, you have it to where Psycho, she starts attacking. So it seems like Psycho has become a lot more battle-hardened than she was in the previous arcs. Because as we know, Psycho, when she used her Kagane to fight Noro, she got extremely weak. Like, she couldn't really fight that well. And, like, she got exhausted. And it seems like maybe Psycho has either trained a little bit harder than she was in the past, And maybe it's because of whatever transpired after the death of Shirazu, because as we know, that probably affected all the QS squad to where they probably wanted to improve themselves for something like this does not happen again. And since, you know, Sasaki or Kaneki left them by themselves, I'm willing to bet that also struck a very hard wound on their heart, because he probably wasn't there in their suffering. But enough of that. Let's once again focus back on Psycho. Psycho is showing combat capacity, or she's able to fight, and huge improvements right there. I'm loving Psycho of how she's able to do this now. I mean, she's not wanting to just hide back. She's actually now going in and fighting. You know, Urie's taking this leadership role to where, like, you know, Yonebayashi, you know, attack, and then she pulls out her Kagane and just fucking destroys these Oguri Tree fodder people. It's fucking awesome. It's just fucking awesome. But anyways, you have it to where one of the new characters, Higemaru, he's like, "Splendid as always, Miss Psycho." You know, Psycho's like, "My dear Hige, look up to me and grow big and strong." That's fucking... fucking Psycho. Fucking Psycho. Urie, this is the crazy part of the chapter. As two Oguri Tree people are charging him, he pulls out his quinque. And when he pulls it out, he says fodder, of course, which is very Urie-like. But the surprise is when you see this panel called Quinque Ginqui, Bikaku Rate SS. Okay, so many might have had this fly over their head, or maybe might not have caught on, but there is meaning behind this Quinque's name, along with the way it looks. I think if you take a really good look at the page number 8, the Quinque looks a lot like Noro. Like, you see the mouth just biting into a ghoul, like, eating them. And that looks exactly like Noro in his Kagane when it was biting into people. That's what it looks like right there. And then if you go down and you see the bottom of the page and the name of it, Quinque Ginqui, it's heart-touching because you automatically know that name is referencing Shirazu. And so, Urie is carrying on the legacy of Shirazu through his weapon. And that, in of itself, is very sad. It shows that he's carrying on the legacy. For instance, wanting to carry on Shirazu's name. He still has not forgotten about the friend that died in his arms. And I wonder exactly how Urie is coping with this. Because there is a very good possibility that Urie is bottling all that emotion up inside of him. And that's why he is resorting to painting. For instance, he's painting to let out these emotions. Or maybe something else entirely. But it makes me wonder, because when someone usually names their weapon something they're going to be killing people with, for instance, you know, this Quinque, he's killing people with Ginqui, and that's kind of like a reference to Shirazu, it makes you wonder, like, what was the real meaning behind that? Like, why did he want to name his Quinque like that? Was it because he wanted to honor his dead friend? Was it because he wanted to kill people in his place? You know, just, I'm throwing things out there. Don't take it to heart. I'm just throwing them out there. The main point is, I wonder exactly how Urie is coping. Now, I wonder if what Eto would do if she saw this weapon, actually. That's something I want to see. I want to see what Eto would do if she saw Noro being turned into a quinque. Like, I wonder what type of emotion Eto would give off. Because from what we understand was given these past couple chapters, Noro was kind of like a stepfather. He was the father that took the place of, you know, her real father. And I wonder what Eto would do if she realized Urie was using, like, her supposed stepfather as a quinque. She'd probably be pretty damn upset about that. So, I mean, Eto has shown that she does care for Noro. In the past, it was shown. So I wonder what she would do. I want to see that. I hope Ishida Sensei does that in the near future. We get to see how she reacts to Noro being turned into a quinque. But, yeah. Next page. So next page, we have it to where everybody's just admiring Urie and his amazing quinque. You have it to where Xiao's like, Ginqui. And then you have it to where Aura in the back, he's like stunned, not saying shit. And then, you know, Higemaru's like, so cool, squad leader Urie is so damn hot. But yeah, and then underneath that, Urie, he seems very distant. It looks like he's being a little bit distant. He's like, Aura, do me a favor and come to the report meeting. Xiao, you take care of the report itself. And then, you know, they're off doing their own thing. And Higemaru's like, and what shall I do, squad leader? Higemaru, massage Psycho's shoulders for her or something. And then Psycho's like, massage? And he's like, that's right, massage. Damn. It seems like Urie cares a little bit more about Psycho than he did in the past, just because of some of the things he's doing. Like, he's just telling Hikamaru to massage Psycho. That's just like, okay, okay. Now, the next part, this is some really interesting stuff. We get to see the asshole himself, Matsuri Washu. Fucking Ishida. You start the year off by showing me this fucking piece of shit, Matsuri. Like, what the fuck? The last person I want to see right now is Matsuri Washu. I don't like this fucking asshole. After what he did to Urie and Shirazu, what he said about Shirazu's death, I am absolutely fucking disgusted. I'm so fucking disgusted with this man. And then Ishida decides to throw this guy into the first fucking chapter of 2016. GG, Ishida. GG. GG. Yeah, I see what you did there. But, okay, so, enough of that. There's a meeting going on. And they're just pretty much talking about what they've been doing. They've been crushing a lot of Ogiri Tree's hideouts in the 23rd Ward, and how they're pretty much, you know, throwing them all out of the ward to where they're probably going to all have to run away and run back to their stronghold in a different place. And they're just pretty much talking about the overall integrity of S2, how well they're doing, and how they're having to fill in, you know, some of the holes that were left behind by other investigators that have died in the past 6 months. Because, you know, as we know what happened to Haru, she died, Kijima, all sorts of things like that. There's many spots that have to be filled, and so S2 is the one that's kind of taking that spot and trying to fill in the gaps that are left open. Now, as that, you know, entire conversation concludes, Matsuri wants to talk to Urie, and this comes out of surprise to me. I'm like, wait, what? He's like, First Class Urie, stay here. I'd like to have a word with you. And I don't know how to feel about this conversation, because, for one, I see there's many shady angles going on. I know Matsuri Washu, he's an asshole. He wants to gain power. He wants to gain a higher status and be a higher part of CCG, pretty much control CCG. And Urie, in a sense, he's very similar, but not similar. Like, I'll explain it in just a moment. So, as Urie's left alone, you have it to where Matsuri Washu, he starts talking. He's like, these last few years, CCG has expanded its strength enormously. There are many who believe that this is primarily due to the achievements of Squad S3. And then Urie interrupts and says, if I'm not mistaken, Special Class Arima is the leader, the one leading S3, correct? And then Matsuri's like, yes, he is. It is true that the work done by S2 does not match up that is done by S3, but by chance, if it did, it would not be unthinkable for me to be appointed a leader of S3. So, once again, Matsuri Washu still aiming up for the high plateau up above, for instance, the leader status of CCG. He's wanting that promotion, promotion, promotion. He's new Urie. Promotion, promotion, promotion. Fucking asshole. But, as he continues talking, he's like, and were I the leader of S3, I would of course have the authority to change its members as I saw fit. In which case, I may see fit to raise the most outstanding members of S2 up to Squad S3. So it's kind of like he's giving Urie a deal. That's pretty much what he's doing. He's... The best way to play it, a lot of politics going on here, shady business practice. Because it's like, Urie, you scratch my back, you get the, you know, word of the S2 squad up there to where it becomes better than S3. I'll make sure to put a good word in for you, and you'll be able to move up to S3, and then maybe one day you might be able to move on and get higher up there as well. That's kind of what Matsuri Washu is doing at this moment. He's kind of playing Urie to work for him, work like a dog, just for Matsuri Washu could move up in the leaderboards. And at the same token, you have to where Urie is doing the exact same thing. He gives, like, Matsuri this evil eye. Like, there's one panel just solid white. He just gives these evil eyes. You don't really know what he's thinking, but there's definitely something going on here. And all of a sudden, something that was very surprising for me, and I gotta know why the fuck Urie is acting like this. I mean, Urie has done some things that he's done that's kind of despicable just to get a promotion, but he's got some extreme character development. He's shown that he's gotten character development. I can't put the man down for that. But this right here, this final panel, it's very suspicious for what he says to Matsuri Washu. Let's look at the dialogue. Special Class Washu, you have done me and the QS an enormous favor by making us a part of Squad S2. I have endeavored with all my power to repay you as best I can for it. Like your dog, if you tell me to hill, I will hill. And if you tell me to bark, I will bark. Very, very suspicious. Like, I don't know how to feel about that because Urie... Urie's obviously using this man. I mean, if you go to the next page, Matsui's like, good answer. That's what I like to hear. I like to hear those words out of your mouth, you being my fucking dog. And Urie thinks in his mind, sticking by this guy will put me on an escalator to Squad S3. Matsui's end goal is probably Brewery Chief. If he gives up the position of Squad Leader, I could probably make myself leader of Squad 3. I wonder what happened between the gap of the 6 months. Like, something had to happen between Matsuri Washu and Urie. Something had to have happened. Why is Urie willingly wanting to be the dog of someone that is this much of a fucking asshole? I mean, the anger in Urie's face at the death of Shirazu, that was there. We could all feel that emotion Urie had at that moment when he looked at Matsuri Washu. And then Washu's like, I honestly don't feel nothing. That face pissed me off so much that he made. And we know Urie had to have a lot of anger for that. So I wonder what has happened in between those scenes for Urie to just kind of turn around. I know he's using him, but why? Like, I mean, what is Urie's real endgame? Is it the same as Matsuri Washu's? Or is it something else? Let's look at something very odd about this conversation. After this is done, Urie makes his inner dialogue in his mind about, you know, how he wants to be, you know, the leader of Squad 3, or it's possible he could move up. We see a quick glimpse of Matsuri Washu with his family, or some form of wife, girlfriend. We don't really know. His family. And there's not really much known about this guy, but, you know what I mean, very odd and suspicious to, you know, kind of throw that in after this conversation. Definitely going to be very, very vital. I'm telling you right now, that's going to be very vital very soon. Now, the next part that we move into, right below the picture of Matsuri Washu, we get to see how Ora was still waiting around for Urie. And judging by this entire conversation between Urie and Ora seems to be a very shy individual. That's the type of personality I'm getting from his character, because let's look at this dialogue real quick. This is what Urie says. What happened, Ora? You were supposed to head home. And then in Urie's mind, he's like, go home, damn it. And then Ora is like, the car, like, you know, in a very shy manner. And you had the keys, so... And then all of a sudden, in Urie's mind, he's like, idiots deserve to walk home. And he says, I still got some things to attend to. So pretty much, Urie's holding back his foul language still. But also, it seems like Ora is very shy. Like I said, he's a very shy individual that doesn't really speak his entire mind, or he doesn't really know what to say. So I wonder exactly how that also is going to play later on down the road with his character connecting with Urie. It seems like he's kind of fond of Urie, or trying to stay around him a little bit more. But let's move on. So next page, we have it to where we go over to the Ghoul prison, where Hinami is at, and this overall segment of the chapter is fucking sad. Like, this is so sad, because we felt out Hinami, she hasn't seen Kaneki at all, or Sasuke, in 6 months. Or since the last time he went to go visit her, she hasn't seen him. And he will not see her, which is sad. And she won't talk to anyone but someone that she knows, like certain investigators. For instance, like someone like Urie, she only talks to certain individuals. And because of this, it's very sad, because she's just reading the same books that were given to her by Kaneki, and she's just locked up in prison by herself. No connection to Kaneki at all, and she wants to see him. And it's so sad. The way the part with Hinami being shown in this chapter, the way it's shown, it's so sad. She's like huddled up next to a bed, and it looks like she's in a fetal position. She's sad and lonely. That's what you can pull out of this. And all of a sudden she hears something, she looks up, and then she sees Urie, and she's a little bit upset about it. And he says, I'd like to go over some of these papers with you. And in Urie's mind, he's like, could I be any more frank? So it seems like Urie is a little bit upset. Like, he understands that he's how can I put it? I'm trying to think of a good word for it. He knows that he's being a little bit of an ass, actually, just straight up being frank with her, like, hey, I have some papers I'd like to share with you. Like, can you go over these with me? And he's not even asking about her well-being. He's not asking about how she's been doing. I mean, it seems like Urie might have been developing a relationship with Hinami in these past 6 months, just because of this interaction right here. Just this little exchange of him, how could I be any more frank? It makes me assume he might have felt some form of interest in Hinami. But after that, he's starting to ask, like, this is a list of Oguri Tree members we've exterminated or captured in the past month. I've noted the A and S ranked individuals. And this is what Hinami says. Number 2 and number 5, I don't know them. New additions, huh? I guess we really are going to have to take down the king if we want to stop the organization's growth. So this is very suspicious right here. That means that the organization is still hiring new individuals, putting them on the main front line. They're putting fodder on the front line, and they're calling back their strong forces, which is very suspicious as well. I mean, there's something else going on here behind the scenes. For instance, Eto and, Oguri Tree and all them, they're throwing out these weaker type ghouls or ghouls that are new additions compared to the ones that are probably well known or the very strong ones behind the scene. So new additions, and they continue to pop up, so the growth of Oguri Tree hasn't really been halted whatsoever just because of how these are new additions. Now, this is what also he says. Are any of these ghouls particularly high ranking? And Hinami's like, no. So with that being said, once again, it goes to play on the fact that Oguri Tree has been calling back the stronger forces and throwing in the weaker ghouls to fight, CCG. So they're saving their forces in reserve. Now, Urie's like struck out again, so this has happened before. For instance, they fought multiple times with other ghouls that have been pretty much fodder, and nothing really that impressive. And then Urie walks away, he's like, thank you for your cooperation. And then Hinami's like, Mr. Urie? Yes? And then Urie interrupts her, is like, the associate special class is busy. As I have always done, I will tell him that you asked to see him, if of course you continue to cooperate with me. So the entire exchange of why Hinami is talking with Urie is thanks to Urie carrying on the word to Sasuke or Kaneki and letting Kaneki and Sasuke know that Hinami wants to speak with you. So that's pretty sad right there. That's really sad. That really just goes to show you how lonely she is right now. I swear right now, if fucking Kaneki or Ayato does not save Hinami, I want to be one pissed off son of a bitch. I'm saying that right now. I want to be fucking pissed off if she does not get saved. But there is a possibility she could die. There is a death lag, actually, which I will discuss in just a second. Now, Urie talks to his mind. He's like, I guess Hinami really does think that Sasuke will give her some sort of special treatment. How sad. With the way he is now, I'm pretty sure you'll show no such warmth. But still, I shouldn't call another cruel. Going to visit a ghoul that's been scheduled for disposal. So Hinami has been scheduled to be disposed of. She is about to die. I wouldn't put it past Ishida to kill off Hinami. I wouldn't. I really would not put it past him. But let's talk about this overall, okay? With this right here, this scene of Hinami being disposed of, and Urie just walking off, Achievement linked me something. Achievement linked me something very interesting that I want to, share with all of you. And it made me realize exactly the meaning behind this scene right here. Let's look back at what Shirazu did at his final words with Urie. I want to see Sasuke. I want to see Sasuke. It's dark. I can't hear nothing. I don't see anything. I want to see Sasuke before, I die. And he never got to see him. And now let's look at this situation. What's going on here? Hinami wants to see Kaneki before she dies. Very similar to Shirazu's situation. But then there's something else. Achievement once again linked me the diary of Hinami, which I have neglected to cover, actually. I know about the diary, I've read it in the past, I've talked about it in other videos, but I've actually neglected to really dive into the diary and talk about it. But Achievement linked it once again and kind of did the connection between these two different scenes, and I'm like, oh shit, good point, actually, because there is some meaning behind it. Like, here, let me get to it, I'll tell you exactly. Let's see. Here it is, okay. The diary of what Hinami's diary says, this is what it says. My life will probably end in this place. This is what Hinami said. My life will probably end in this place. Is this by punishment? A price I must pay for trying to get stronger to save someone. I want to know Oni-chan's thoughts. Finding out you had gone alone to save Anteku, I couldn't sit and do nothing. I'm glad it's Oni-chan who comes and visits, even if it's only to make reports of me as a ghoul investigator. At the very least, I want the last person to speak with to be Oni-chan. That's sad as fuck, because that reminds you a lot of Shirazu. That reminds you a lot. His final moments was he wanted to see Sasuke, and he didn't get to see him. And the death flag is real right now. The death flag is so real for Hinami. It's, fuck, dude. We'll see where Ishida takes it, but that's sad as fuck. Oh yeah, so moving on. Now, the next thing we have here, we get to see the manager of Eto. He finally makes an appearance once again. He's like, ooh, it's really cold. I wonder how much longer Miss Takasuki's is going to be. And then, all of a sudden, two people walk up. There he is, indeed. Are you Mr. Shiono? We're from CCG. Is Miss Takasuki in? This final page is fucking... The troll is fucking crazy right now. Like, Ishida! What the fuck? What the fuck, Ishida? You never show this man smiling. Like, he never has a real true smile. Like, poor Kaneki has never smiled legitly. Like, he always has been very sad. But the first, like, main smile we get from him, he's sadistic as shit. Look at his smile in this final page. He's just sitting there like, yeah, just that fucking grin, that shit face eating grin, whatever the fucking word you want to attach to it. He's just holding his damn CCG badge up. He's like, here you go. Is, Eto in? The one-eyed king? The person I already know of. I know who it is, but, is she in? And Furuta is right behind Kaneki. What the... Oh my god, okay. Let's discuss this. Furuta is right behind Kaneki, and he's smiling, dude. Look at that fucking face, dude. It was revealed that Furuta is a ghoul, though. It was confirmed kind of in the calendar. It was decoded that Furuta is a ghoul. So, enough said there. But also with, the last chapter, we already know it's very suspicious. He is the spy. So, Furuta, he's with Kaneki right now, which is very, very strange. Because, for one, it makes me wonder what's happened in these 6 months. There has been a 6-month time skip, and we do know that Kaneki has all his memories back, because he's proved it. And that would mean that he remembers the clown that threw the beams on top of Rize at the beginning, chapter 1 of Tokyo Ghoul. So, it makes me wonder if he already knows who Furuta is, or if he knows Furuta is a ghoul, because 6 months have passed. Kaneki knows a lot of things now, and it wouldn't surprise me, since he's now hanging out with Furuta, if he knew Furuta was a ghoul, because why would he drag someone like this with him to go meet Eto? Because, let's think about this for a second. Kaneki knows who Eto is. He already knows. He even said her name. So he already knows. He doesn't need to do any fucking investigation. But clearly, he hasn't said nothing to CCG. He's still withholding that name, so he's coming to see her. The main thing is why is he seeing her now? Why did he wait 6 months to try to see Eto? Why? Obviously, Eto was already slightly healed at the time before the time skip, because look, in the last chapter, Eto showed that she had legs back, so she, at the very least, could walk. So she wasn't that weakened at that moment. So it makes me wonder, why did he wait 6 months to come visit Eto? But also, why is he bringing Furuta? The only CCG member we know is a fucking spy. Like, why would he bring someone like that? There's definitely something going on here. So I feel like Kaneki knows who Furuta is. At the very least, he knows he's a spy, or he knows he's a ghoul. Maybe he knows he's a clown as well. And I have talked about this before in another video. I remember discussing this already. As we know, in the one-shot of Tokyo Ghoul, Kaneki was a clown. We already know this. He was a fucking clown in Tokyo Ghoul's one-shot. And then the mask that Kaneki used in the one-shot was showcased in the real Tokyo Ghoul Part 1. His mask was on the fucking wall. Of Uta's wall. A mask wall. So we know the mask is canon. So with this, I wonder if Kaneki... And I wonder if he has joined Clown. Or at the very least, he knows about, Furuta, his clown business, and also maybe being a ghoul and stuff. I'm curious about that. But for now, that's all we have. Some cool stuff's gonna happen because next week's chapter is titled Takasuki Sin Appears. So yeah, next week is going to be very fucking epic. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see what Ishida does next. This chapter is pretty damn awesome. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I mean, how do you all feel about this chapter? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Let me know. And how do you feel about that theory? I mean, it's just a theory. Just throwing it out there. You might as well. That's the fun of Tokyo Ghoul. Just talking about theories and having fun. So yeah, you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.